Breakfast with Jerm. It is 9:35 a.m. on September 29th. It is Monday. I've got a case of the Mondays. How about you? I got a case of the Mondays. I got a bowl of grits that I let get too thick. I'm over here instead of over there eating breakfast for a change, and because I'm doing some writing. Notepad. Note cards, little note cards. Bigger note cards with stuff written on them. I'm serious. I'm getting serious. I got to get serious about this writing thing. But anyway, not this. This week, I'm doing something I've never done before. That's bright. Too bright. I don't need a spotlight. Well, maybe for this. I am working on a tabletop role-playing game campaign like it's my day job. Monday today through Friday, it is my job. I'm developing an idea in the form of a 3 by 5 inch card note box. And yes, I am reading this off of my legal pad. The box was intended, this box here, was intended as my first Zettelkasten, but I quickly realized that 3 by 5 would be too small for my bid cards, main cards, etc. Therefore, I have had an empty note box just waiting to be repurposed, and I am turning it into an analog support kit, or ASK, or ASK, for my Cipher System tabletop role-playing game campaign that I started with a few friends here in town. My goal is to develop a self-contained TTRPG supplement in a box, aka the ASK, Analog Support Kit. Similar, like the purpose of my anti-net is to communicate with, and there's a lot more about that in this book here. Similar, the purpose of the analog support kit, similar to the anti-net, the analog support kit's purpose is to communicate, is to ask it questions when you're preparing a game, when you're planning or running a tabletop role-playing game session, which I would have been doing yesterday or on Saturday, but everybody's feeling under the weather, and that's okay. I slept a lot this weekend, and now I'm starting Monday fresh with my 1 week as a tabletop role-playing game supplement developer. My goal, like I said, is to have types of cards, organized types of cards, like NPC cards. There's some cards are just about the rules. It's reference cards. Top level is like reference cards, character cards, plot cards, plot twist items, locations, ciphers, cipher systems. So there's ciphers involved. The cipher is basically a one-time use item in the cipher system, which I'm not sure if I like it being called a cipher, because a cipher sounds like a puzzle to me. or cards that are, artifact items or clue items. So the goal is to have this plus dice. A couple of these, maybe more than one box eventually. I have colored cards. I don't know yet what the color coding is going to be for with this system. Maybe item rarity or setting cards in green. But I also don't like using colored cards too much. I think they're good for just like standout stuff. There's always the fallback. You could fall back to the Blizzard, the RPG, the current RPG color paradigm of blue is magic, purple is legendary or rare. I don't have any purple note cards. Maybe just color for item. Needs more thought. But I'm using AI. I'm using u.com. That's what I'm writing in my alpha newsletter here. I wrote that under disclaimer. Because I could go into a long thing about AI and how it personally affected me. But at the end of the day, I'm just trying to write stuff, and generating words is part of that, and analyzing words and transforming words is part of that. It doesn't enhance creativity at all. AI doesn't do anything for creativity. It does a lot for organization and categorization. That's what is good for. So I asked for help. I have a chat going about TTRPG development for brains, and I used it to brainstorm some gnomish characters that were on a gnomish airship. So I need to make character cards for all those guys, all those people, because they're all they're all in the game already. The players know these characters, and I have them written on the bigger note cards. But I wanted to keep the tabletop role-playing game stuff separate from the rest of my Antinet, because it's purely its own system and it's purely fiction, whereas the rest of the Antinet is mostly reference and nonfiction, except for my fiction box. Oh yes, so that's I think it's gonna I'm hoping it all runs together. I won't be able to spend all day thinking about role-playing supplements or knowledge or writing or any one thing. So I've got a good array of things on my desk here at my apartment, and they're all analog except for the computer, the laptop, which I only use for asking for organizational help or doing web searches on u.com. You can say, find information on the web for me about blank and get a summary. That's much more efficient than trying to use the web, Google search, and see ads and sponsored posts, and I just want to get filtered information. So that's what I find it worth paying $15 a month for on the AI front, and also having the choice of which large language models to use. Try them all. Why not? That's how I initially found that site, is because I was looking for something that could do a comparison of results from among the different language models. I've never actually used it, but just knowing that it's there is comforting for a English major like me. Yep. Too bright. Just a guy in his apartment eating grits on a Monday morning. Planning and plotting and scheming how to use online marketing funnels to share analog knowledge. This would be a good time to have a chat going. Because I see the chat. If somebody chatted, I would see it. It was raining. It's still raining. Chance of light rain for the next hour. Excuse me. Excuse me. Gosh. I sneeze grits on my arm now. Well, that's about all the time we have for today, folks. I have a tough decision ahead of me, which is, am I going to make coffee? Or am I going to spring for coffee? Which I told myself I wasn't going to do until I got some subscribers on Patreon. Patreon.com/JCVworld. Subscribers on Patreon, $6 a month to help me buy lattes and give dollars away to people who ask me for dollars. Because just this morning, a nice gentleman asked if I could spare $2 so he could get breakfast. And I appreciate that honesty, and he was very polite. So I would like to have been able to give him $2, but I don't have $2. I have some dollars in the bank, but not very many. The financial situation is another story entirely. That's what I'm not focusing on this week. I'm trying to avoid. I'm not avoiding it. I am just prioritizing another project that's important to me when I have time at the end of the month to focus on it like it's my job, because I can then write about it like that's my job, and one or both things may eventually lead to generating revenue online when I write a book about it. Just a short book. But first edition of a book, 64 pages is the minimum for printing a book. It's not too many. So I'm writing about my process and process thinking. And I'm going to be recalling things from my systems engineering courses that I started 4 years ago. I was in my first systems engineering class 4 years ago, the fall of 2021. So that's stuff coming up in the future. Got a lot to write about. Some of it's going to be serious stuff like how do I financially support myself and all that without having to work for a corporate overlord. Because it's just, it's not a good fit for me. Oh, but we'll see. we'll see how long it takes for things to shake out. Like I said, I've got plans. I'm plots and schemes and models, business models. I don't have any of those books here. Got a lot of reading to do, but mostly more than that, I think I've read enough. I've ingested quite a lot of information, and it is information until you put it into action. That's what makes it knowledge. So I've got a lot of information stored up from the last 4 years, and the most straightforward way to put it into action is to write about it and talk about it. So that's what I will be doing starting today. I'm challenging myself to write weekly, to write a weekly piece. So this week's piece will be about the development of the tabletop role-playing game supplement called the Analog Support Kit, or ASK, based on the Antinet Zettelkasten note-taking note card method. Basically just note boxes, cards and boxes. Keep it simple, soldiers. I'm going to sign off. Finish my breakfast, figure out what's next. Got to get some food in the house. Gonna get the kiddos later. Gonna try to stay productive with my projects, because I often get wrapped up in what the kids are doing with their school or what they want to do. We've got a firm line going about no video games or tablets on Monday through Thursday night. That's 4 nights. So that's 4 nights of homework, reading, maybe a show before bed. PBS Kids. But that's a good way to keep myself accountable to doing more writing. And I realized after I substituted, I could do more throughout the day. So I'm trying to see if I can fit in 6 blocks of productive time. And productive to me is writing, maybe reading, but mostly writing out my thoughts on in a structured way. Structured creativity. That's what I'm working. Systematic creativity that's actually the working title of my book. Systematic creativity. It's about how to use the principles of systems engineering and process thinking to achieve your goals. Wow, what a horrible pitch that was. But of course, when I get nervous when I realize I'm doing a pitch and my nose starts to run immediately. But that's a big thing. It's not the book that I really had in mind that I wanted to write first or at all. But that's kind of a good introduction to my process, the systematic creativity. Using systems engineering principles to plot a course from where you are to where you want to be. But if I'm honest, I just try to keep writing, keep making notes and note cards. At some point soon, I need to get a numbering system for the note cards because there's getting to be a lot of them. And the power of the Zettelkasten method is numbering and cross-referencing and cross-linking cards. That's what makes it a cybernetic system. So that's a big thing I need to do. But I'm not worrying about that this week. I'm putting these kinds of things, my finances and my big rocks are up ahead, still pretty far up ahead, at least a week up ahead. And I'm focusing on this one challenge of focusing on the one project, completing tabletop role-playing game analog support kit so that I can run my own game session this weekend successfully, because that's my main goal, is to run a fun game for my friends. put my own thoughts and creativity into it systematically, plot it all out and get it done. And get it done. And get there, if you're saying. And get yourself there. I really am only at part 1, though. Part 1 is the part about knowing where you are. And that's something that I learned in the system engineering courses about exploring the problem domain and making a model of the problem in the problem domain, problem space. Like any problem, like the need for teachers and substitutes. Because that time was some available substitute jobs, and I looked to see if it's my kid's school. Because that's the only school I know that I can run over to and step into the classroom. It's a lot of middle schools. Some high schools needing teachers. I could do middle school science someday. But all these things I need to work up to. I do work slow. And I need to go at my own pace. That's why I decided, instead of trying to cram in, I was working on the game session, tabletop role playing, or the cipher system. I was working on the cipher system session for this week when my friend texted me and said that he and his family were not feeling well, and I was kind of under the weather myself. So I said I'm gonna put a hold on this because I don't have to get it done by tonight. I don't have to rush to get it done. And that would only be preparing for one session. That wouldn't be any kind of longer term plan of where the game is going or could go, or making sure the rules are documented, making sure I have all the NPCs straight that have already been introduced to the players and whatnot. So then before I went to sleep, I realized that what I needed to do was just dedicate myself to doing it for an entire week, 5 days, Monday through Friday. Like if it was a day job. Because I worked day jobs plenty of years, and I can do it. And the thing about going to a day job is you go there 8 or 10 hours, but you don't grind consistently 8 or 10 hours. You have blocks of things that you work on. So, long story long, working on my productivity just for myself because I don't like the word productivity. It's too easy to slide into hustle and grind culture, which is detrimental to your health. But yeah, I'm working on personal productivity, time blocking, work blocks, that sort of thing this week. And it kind of has some synergy. It flows into my analog support kit because, it's a game. So every encounter, everything in the game has a time frame that it should take, or else you won't progress the game. And you can play around with that. Game slow things down or speed things up. That's the fun thing about games and simulations is you can slow down time or speed it up. So yeah, it just makes sense to be time blocking while doing a game that involves time blocking to make fun encounters for people to role play. And it's a learning experience because this is my first time being the game master of a Cypher system game. I've only done a D&D game and it was a long time ago. And this is their first time playing the TTRPGs together. So it's fun. It's good learning and growing experience for all. It's just fun to get together with friends, and in the future, I'd like to be able to take it a step back and describe how to create your own supplement for doing a tabletop role-playing game night, where you can have your own stuff, just pull from your own box, ask it what you need to know for the players at that moment. Sort of like improv. It's sort of like improv meets like a collectible card game, or like Cranium or one of those other. It's putting more tabletop game into the tabletop role playing game, because having a structure. You can do creative role playing and character based stuff, imaginative stuff within a framework that is moves pretty consistently. As you can see, that's something that I don't do naturally. It doesn't come naturally to me. So I'm moving things on because it is after 10. I got another note to myself to do a handwritten piece on my obsession with the perfect average day format and how that's working out for me. It's giving yourself reasonable time constraints is a good thing. I think that's what I was trying to get at with talking about cards. Time constraints, physical instruction sets, checklists. It's all you need to have a lot of fun and learn. Well, on that note, I will say good day to you. Love you all. Take care. See you on another Breakfast with Jerm.